All right, so today we are going to start factoring. And all factoring is going from area as a sum backwards to area as a product. So when we do this, we're going to take our quadratic, something that looks like this, turn it into a box, and then it'll end up turning into two binomials being multiplied by each other, right? So like x plus 2 times 3x plus 2. So we've got some steps that we want to follow. And remember when we talk about quadratics, we have a standard form that we follow. So ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are just some random numbers. So for example, this quadratic here, we have a, which equals 1, right? Because there's an invisible 1 in front of that x squared. B is going to equal a negative 7. Notice the negative sign. And c is going to equal 10, positive 10. So we're going to factor this, and we're going to turn this into something that looks like this times this, where there'll be obviously numbers and or x's inside those parentheses. So when we do this, we have a method to follow. There's a bunch of different ways to factor stuff. And the reason that I seem to like the Xbox better is because it's systematic and it works for everything. So if you follow these steps for every single problem, you're guaranteed to get an answer with anything that's factorable. So let's get started. And once again, don't forget that A is 1, B is negative 7, and C is 10 for this problem. So step number 1, we want to place the two items in the box and the two items in the X. So what I mean by that is that this part of your quadratic, so your ax squared, will always go in your top left box. So that ax squared is always going to go in the top left. The middle part here, that plus bx, is always going to go in the bottom of the x. So once again, we put the x squared right here. And we put this negative 7x in the bottom of the x, and we put this third chunk in the bottom right in the other corner. And then in the top of the x, we want to multiply these two things. So x squared and 10 just multiplies to get 10x squared. So we're going to put 10x squared in the top there. So these four things always go in the same place every time, and that's how you start. And that's pretty much the only thing you have to memorize. And after that, then the whole process kind of works itself out. So x squared, the c, the bx, and then when you multiply, you get ax squared. And if you look here, here we go. So you want the c times the ax squared. You multiply these two things to get them there. All right, so once those are placed, step number 2, we want to solve our x problem and figure out what numbers multiply to get the top and add to get the bottom. So this is, once again, just one of those x problems that we started doing a couple days ago. So what multiplies to get 10x squared and adds to get negative 7? Well, it's going to be negative 5x and negative 2x, right? Because negative 5 times negative 2 equals positive 10. X times x equals x squared. And then when we add these two, we get negative 7x. So once you've figured out your x problem, then those two numbers go in the corners here, the two remaining corners. So you're going to place those two sides of the x's. Once again, order doesn't matter for these two numbers, so order doesn't matter here as well. Just take them and put them in there. Okay, after that, then we have to start factoring the outside. And it's really easy to start with this box, with this corner. So what multiplies to get x squared? Oh, well, there's only really one thing that does that, x times x. So you're going to put an x here and an x here. And then we got to get the rest of the box. So if this is an x and this is a negative 2x, then x times what number multiplied is going to equal negative 2x? And that would be negative 2, right? So x times negative 2 gives me negative 2x. X times what gives me negative 5x. X times negative 5. Perfect. And then I also like to do a check just to make sure this is right. Does negative 2 times negative 5 equal positive 10? Yes, it does. Looks like we did it right. So now we write our answer, and this is our answer. Remember, we want to write the area as a product. So we take the whole left side of the box, which is x minus 5, and then we take the top, which is x minus 2. So that's our factored form answer. So we have our standard form, which is what we started with, and now it's factored x minus 2, x minus 5. This is a bit of a process, but once again, with practice, it should be okay. All right, so here are the 6 problems we're going to cover today and tomorrow. Today, A, B, and C, and then tomorrow we'll get to D, E, and F. So let's start out with letter A, x squared plus 6x plus 8. So first step is to put the 4 pieces of information where they go. So go ahead and pause the video, see if you can do that, and come back and you'll see where they go. All right, so your ax squared always goes here. Your bx always goes here. So then we can put the 6x there. And then our c always goes here. And we multiply x squared times 8 to get this number, which is 8x squared. All right, then it becomes an x problem. So we want to figure out what multiplies to get the top and adds to get the bottom. So it'll be 2x and 4x. All right, 2 times 4 is 8. X times x is x squared. And then 2x plus 4x is 6x. Put those here. Once again, order doesn't matter. Then think to yourself, how do I multiply 2 things to get x squared? And that would be an x times an x. All right, and then x times what number equals 4x? That's a 4. And x times what number equals a 2? That's a 2. X times 2 equals 2x. And then do the final check. 2 times 4, does that equal 8? Yes, it does. And then all you need to do is write your answer. Order for this also doesn't matter. So the left side of this box would be x plus 2, if I'm finding area as a product. And the right side of the box would be x plus 4. I'm sorry, the top side of the box would be x plus 4. So once again, we're just taking this area as a sum, and we're turning it into area as a product. All right, so I'm going to move a little bit quicker through these next 2 problems. Pause the video as you need to. But go ahead and start out with this letter B, and go ahead and do the first step. If you need to remember, refresh yourself, go ahead and look back at your notes. All right, so there's the 4 pieces of information that are needed. Go ahead and do the next step. All right, so there's the sides of the x's. Go ahead and do the next step. All right, so we put those sides inside the boxes. Go ahead and do the next step. All right, there we go. So we put the x times x is used to multiply to get x squared. Go ahead and do the next step. All right, there we go. X times 5 gives me 5x. X times negative 3 gives me negative 3x. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And then go ahead and write your final answer. All right, there we go. So that's the left side, x minus 3. And then the top is x plus 5. All right, hopefully that went okay for you. Once again, if you've been doing the work throughout the week, then you're probably doing all right on this. But this is a very, very tough topic. All right, so we're going to do one more here. Go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to do the entire problem. So when you come back, it will be there for you. All right, so there you go. We start out with our x squared, with our 12, with our 7x, multiply x squared times 12 to get 12x squared. Then we do our x problem. 4 times 3 gives me 12, x times x gives me x squared, and then 4x plus 3x does give me 7x. We plug them in on the other 2 areas of sum boxes, and then we find areas of product. So x times x gives me x squared, x times 3 gives me 3x, x times 4 gives me 4x, and 3 times 4 gives me 12. So then we just take our answer. The left side is x plus 4, and the top is x plus 3. Remember, order doesn't matter, so if you said x plus 4 and x plus 3, that's fine as well. All right, we are going to stop there for the day. We'll pick up with you tomorrow, but go ahead and make sure you do your practice.